Welcome to another episode of Surround Yourself with Greatness. Today, I am joined by Calvin Cannon Jr., aka Mr. Print Money on Demand. I got to meet Calvin at a mastermind in Atlanta. And one of the statements he said that really caught my attention was that, money grows on trees if you plant the seeds. So you need to ask yourself every single day, are you planting the seeds so that your money can grow on trees, right? So today we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about investing. He's going to share so much game that he's learned in real estate over the last 31 years. And also he's going to talk about ways that you can work with him through some of his online courses, his academy, his masterclass, if you really want to take it to the next level. Because making money, if you really think about it, it's easy. You just need to have the right strategy, the right mentor, but also the right mindset. So we're going to talk about all those three things. Calvin, how are you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling amazing, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. And, I feel honored to be welcome to your platform. Thank you.
Well, like I said, at Marvin's Path to Prosperity Mastermind, I think you were the first speaker. So you really set it all off for the entire mastermind. And when you were speaking, I'm like, oh my God, my community needs to learn what I'm learning. And I need to invite Calvin to the platform so you could really talk about, how you're getting real estate untraditionally, things like OPM. A lot of people don't know what OPM is. So you're going to spit all that game because, right now, like I said, if you have the right strategy, the right mindset and the right mentor, there's no reason why you cannot be a millionaire or even a billionaire because the tools are out there. You just need to be committed, take action and go from there. So before we go into the strategies, let's just talk about your life and your background. How did you get started into this whole real estate game?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in real estate back in 1991. I was a student at Temple University. And when I was going to college, and for those that are in college, kind of understand this, is that when you go to college, you get something called a stipend semester check. And that stipend semester check is a check that they give you for like your room and board and your food and, and your books for you to get some books. Well, I had applied for my stipend check a little bit late into the semester. So I got it at the end of the semester instead of the beginning of the semester. So the end of that particular semester was rolling into the summertime. So I got a check for like $5,000. So back in 91, I'm like, man, that's a lot of money. I'm doing good. I was living in my parents' house and I always wanted my independency and my freedom. So I utilized that $5,000 and I acquired a duplex at 32nd and Cecil Moore in Philadelphia area. So if anybody's out there from Philadelphia, you definitely know where this area is at, right? So I purchased the duplex property, $5,000, kept it for about 6 to 8 months. And then a young man, we'll just call him a professional pharmaceutical man, right? He was interested in the property. Now the property, it was the pits, right? My windows didn't work properly, my door didn't lock properly, but I was so eager to get out of my parents' house that I wanted to live on my own. So when this gentleman came along, he offered me $60,000 for the house. So back then I'm like, wow, like I've never ever had $60,000 in my life at one time, right? So I was like, hey, no problem. I paid $5,000 for the house, so I'm like, I'm up, I'm good, right? Dropping out, I decided to drop out of college, right? I'm like, I got it made. So gave me the $60,000. I moved back in my parents' house. My mom thought, something else was going wrong. So she's like, no, if you into street drugs and all that, you can't be here. I'm like, no, mom, I sold the duplex, right? So sold the duplex. Finally, she convinced me to go back to college. While I was in college, I started, meeting other people, and I started networking and going to real estate events. And then I started buying multi-family real estate. My next property I bought was $10,000, which was a 4-unit apartment building on Germantown Avenue. I kept that for another year or 2 years just before I graduated from college, and I sold that for $105,000. So at this point, I'm like, my mom had me in school, to be a lawyer. So when I was graduating, I was supposed to go to law school, but I didn't really have all the money. But then when I sold this property, it was like, do I put this money into law school or do I go back and do the same process I did again?
Make more money.
Never went to law school, unfortunately, but I started flipping properties. I started buying more and more properties. I started understanding the real estate game. And then I started getting into online auctions. I started getting into physical auctions. You know, had some highs, had some lows. But the one thing that I always remember is that during this process, I didn't have anybody to learn from. So I made a lot of mistakes because I was really shooting from the hip, right? I was really, you know, figuring it out on my own until I ran into a gentleman by the name of Mr. George Anderson, and he said, "Listen, you're on the right course of doing real estate, but you're doing it all wrong." I was like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "You're doing it wrong." So now here's somebody telling me how you know, right now I'm sitting on 6 figures in the bank. So he's like, "You're doing real estate wrong." And I said, "Okay." So he started showing me different things. Remember, I was using my own money, putting real estate in my own name, right? Because that's all that I knew. I thought that, you know, who I was the person to get the properties. You know, I'm filing taxes. I'm increasing my income on my taxes so the banks would allow me to get the funding, right? That's huge, right? Because when you go bank to get bank funding, you have to be your debt to income has to match, so you can get the loan, right? So I was increasing my income to prove to the bank that I was making money, and I was paying extra money in taxes because I didn't know. I didn't have anybody to teach me. So this guy, George Anderson, he jumped on the scene. He became my first real estate mentor / leader and showed me different ways of getting real estate. So then at that point, I scaled up and, you know, just started getting, you know, I was buying 1 property a year. Now I buy, you know, 1 to 3 properties a month. So
what?
Yeah.
So you're saying like in a year, you could buy like 36 properties.
Yes, I'm buying. So on the average, I'm buying anywhere between 25 to 30 properties a year. Yep.
That's crazy. So anyway, what was some of that secret sauce that George Anderson taught you?
So one of the things he taught me was a saying that I use all the time is own nothing but control everything, right? Own nothing but control everything. And when you first hear that, you know, sometimes, you know, it boggles your mind, but when he did a deep dive and a root cause of what that meant, it meant start putting these properties in your LLCs. Stop putting properties in your main name, because with your LLC, you can scale and buy as many properties as you want. So the first thing he taught me is stop using your own money. He said, your money is no longer good. Your money's bad. You have to leverage your money to get more money. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, I'm still going to the bank. He said, one thing he said to me, he said, how many friends do you have? I said, not many, you know, 2 or 3 friends. He said, see, that's the problem. He said, because you're worried about the physical form of somebody being your friend. My friends are the banks. My best friends are the credit unions. The people that I socialize with in my circle are people who provide money, which is OPM. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm 21, 22 years old. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm not really understanding what he's talking about. So then I started hanging out with him. He started taking me to, you know, bank meetings and bank conferences where I started learning that the banks have special funding systems and funding plays that the traditional average civilian wouldn't even know, right? So traditionally, you'll go to the bank, you'll ask for a loan, right? You'll get the loan because, you know, you want to get a mortgage, but they have lines of credit, right? They have trade lines. They have no doc loans. They have all types of different programs that you can get to get properties that we're not tapped into because nobody is exposing us to it. So George exposed me to that. Then he exposed me to hedge funds and private money and getting JV deals and having group people come together as investors to help you with your project. So once I started doing that, I went and got my real estate license. He taught me how to be an investor, and you know,
the rest is history.
Yeah.
So what year was this? Because you started in 91 when you're in college. When did you meet George Anderson?
So I met George around like 95, 96. 95, 96, yeah.
Wow. You know, a couple of things that caught me there is like leverage your money to get more money, right? And a lot of the strategies like no doc loans and all that stuff. So let's talk about, you know, what became your fundamental strategy once you shifted, right? So now you're using other people's money to get real estate. You've gone from, you know, buying an average 1 to 2 houses a year to now 25 to 30 houses a year. What really shifted there? Was it the OPM strategy where you were now able to access other people's money, and how were you doing it? But more importantly, you spoke about own nothing, control everything. How are you able to do that?
Yeah. So one of the strategies that I learned from Mr. Anderson was that a lot of times when we acquire properties, we cap out. right? And capping out means that you take your last savings, whether if it's a 401k plan or, you know, a savings that you have saved up, and you'll take that money and you'll acquire a piece of property. Well, at that point, you're tapped out. So it's kind of like, all right, take my last $20,000, $30,000. I get me an investment property. Now I'm done. But you have to learn how to strategize and get that investment property the proper way. And here's a strategy that everybody can understand. The banks have something called a no-doc loan. A no-doc loan will get you up to $50,000 with no docs. The only documentation that you need is an LLC. So what does that mean? So that means own nothing but control everything. Is that if you acquire an LLC and you go to the bank and get a no-doc loan for $50,000, if you take a couple $100 out of that $50,000 and create another LLC and go to another no-doc loan bank and get another $50,000. So you're always building up the capital that you need to get more properties. Now, the other strategy that I also use is that I buy one, I hold one. I buy and I hold. So as soon as I get a property, I'll fix it up, I'll flip it. I'll get the
like this weekend. I saw you on Instagram. You were like finishing up like on another property, I guess, right? Yeah. I think you're getting ready to get the tenants in.
Absolutely. So what happens is I'll acquire a single family home property, and a single family just strictly means that it's a 3-bedroom home, one family lives in it. I'll acquire that property. I'll do something called a cosmetic makeup job, right? So I buy almost turnkey properties. I used to do the full gut rehabs before I met George. And then when I met George, he put me on a system to get houses faster, because when you do a full gut rehab, it takes you anywhere between 6 to 9 months to totally rehab this property, right? Wow. If you buy a turnkey, it takes me 2 to 3 weeks to turn his property around. So if I'm buying 1 to 2 properties a month, if you're stuck on a property for 9 months, I have 18 properties by the time you get done one property, right? Yep. So the strategy is I will get the property almost turnkey. I will go in, maybe drop about $5,000 to $10,000 on cosmetic and makeup. If it's a single family home, I will flip that property. And flipping just means basically putting the property on the market and reselling it. The profit that I make off the flip of the single family, the next property is a multifamily hold. So I'll use that profit, grab a multifamily, go back with another LLC, get another $50,000. Then I will use that $50,000 and just continue to do the play over and over and over again, right? And then
yeah. So I like that in the sense that you're using the single family to purchase your multifamily.
Correct.
And then the rental cash flow you're getting from the multifamily pays back that no-doc loan.
Correct.
So now you have an asset, but you're not paying it. Like someone else is paying the loan for you.
That is correct.
You own the asset.
That is correct. And when you set your system up correctly, right? For me, my budget is anywhere between $150,000 to $250,000. So when I grab a property at $150,000, or let's just hypothetically say $155,000, and they charge me 20% down to acquire the property, that's about roughly $31,000. So now I have a mortgage of $120,000 for a 30-day mortgage. A 30-year mortgage that's costing me roughly about $700-800 a month. But in a multifamily, I have a special technique that I use in the city of Philadelphia where I use veterans, the veteran department, and I put veterans inside of my 1-bedroom apartments. They pay anywhere from $850 to $1,000 a month. So let's just do an average of $900 a unit. So now I'm bringing in $1,800 a month. My mortgage is $800 a month. So that means that I'm cash flowing $1,100 every month from this particular property. After 10 properties, that's 10 grand a month.
Yep.
10 grand, that's $120,000 a year.
It's like a manager level salary, right? And you're not waking up, going and working 40 hours a week, but you're making $120,000, which, by the way, you can also put to work, right?
You do put the work. You do put it to work. So one thing I tell people is when they make money, whether if you get money from the bank or you're making money from your cash flow, you have to ask yourself, the money in the bank is your employee. If you have $50,000 in the bank, you have 50,000 employees that you need to coach, train, and redirect to go out and make more money, right? You have to control your money. Your money is your soldiers. You send them out there, you send them to the battlefield for you to bring back more money. That's the key that a lot of people miss. They think, well, I'm just going to save my money. But if you save your money and when life happens, God forbid anything happens, right? If you don't have the mentality to continue to grow your money, money sitting in the bank is useless, right? Cash is trash, right?
It's dying because of inflation, right? You look into some of the inflation numbers right now, the buying power of that dollar a year from now, given the interest rates, which are like nothing, like you're not getting anything in interest.
That is correct.
That cash sitting in the bank, it's actually like diminishing in purchasing power.
What it is when you sit your money in the bank, guys like me come along and borrow it, right? So when I'm getting that no doc loan, the bank is utilizing the money from the individual members, right, who are just having that money sit in the bank. You never want your money to sit in the bank. You're better off putting your money in a cash flowing asset vehicle that's going to bring you back a cash flow each month. Right? Cash flow is king. Cash flow is king.
So let's talk about the no doc loans real quick. Like what do they need? From the word no doc, I'm assuming they actually don't need any documents. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you do need a documentation. No doc means that there's no tax returns, there's no W-2s, there's no paychecks, no pay stubs, right? Only thing you need is your LLC. And with the LLC, you need your LLC articles. You need your EIN number, right? You need your operational agreement. You need your certificate of good standing, and you need your ID. Now, one thing that I also tell people is that you need your minute notes. Every time you create an LLC, whether if it's a single member LLC or multi-member LLC, you need meeting notes, right? And meeting notes is simply every quarter, which is every 3 months, right? Every 90 days, you just have a meeting. And if it's with yourself, hey, this month the company did X, Y, and Z. We're looking to expand to X, Y, and Z, and we're looking to do this projected for the following quarter. That's it. You write it down, you put it inside of your book, you save it. Now you have your meeting notes. So when you go to the bank and you learn how to talk to the bank, it's one of the things I teach in one of my courses. I teach you how to talk to the bank, where you interview the bank instead of the bank interviewing you. Most times we walk in the bank, right? We walk in the bank, we get interviewed as if we're looking for a job to get hired at the bank. That's not how the process works. The bank is an LLC. You're an LLC. You're coming to the bank to join a partnership. You're not going to the bank to get interviewed. You're going to the bank doing the interviewing. You have to represent your company. And if you come with the proper questions and tools to ask the bank, hey, I want to know about this loan. I want to know about this credit card. So that way you're letting the bank know I'm representing myself, looking to join a union with the bank as a JV deal for financing. Not going in the bank, getting interviewed by the bank as if you're looking for a job. Right. So the no doc loan is just the LLC documentations that you need. You cannot go over $50,000. So that's the most important thing. The max cap is $49,999. So as long as you ask for funding underneath that number, you don't have to show any documentations except for your LLC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's say I've had an LLC since 2009 and haven't really done much with it. Will that work?
Absolutely. So most of the no doc loan banks, they would like for you to have an LLC for 12 to 15 months. They would like you to have a credit score of 700 for the line of credit. And if your credit score is under a 700, then you can apply for the no doc business credit card. And all this is business funding that we're talking about as well. Just want to make sure I let you know that it's all business. It's on the business side.
Yeah, which is different from the personal side. But they do check your personal credit, or they only just check on the business?
No, so this is you are grantoring this loan, so they will check your credit score. But some banks do soft pulls and some banks do hard pulls, but they will check your credit score. Your credit score. Your credit profile just needs to have 2 other trade lines on it. If you have 2 positive trade lines, let's say you have a credit card with about $2,500 on it. Let's say you have a auto loan or student loan. As long as you have 2 solid trade lines that are in positive, good condition with no derogatory marks, you should qualify for this with a credit score of 700.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. A lot of people think like, hey, I need to save up, make, X amount of money for X amount of years, and then get into the real estate game. What they don't know is they're just a few documents away from getting the cash you need, and then you move forward. Now, let's talk about mindset.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Africa.
Okay.
I was born in Zimbabwe, came to America with $40 in my pocket, for college because I got a scholarship, right?
Okay.
And in Africa, we have no credit system. It's all cash. So it's real out there. So if you see someone driving a Benz, they paid for it cash, right?
Wow.
You cannot fake it till you make it over there, right? So I came to America now and I'm like, oh, credit cards. I'm like, what is this whole thing, right? Because I'm used to a cash economy where, you generate the cash and the cash enables you to buy assets. Yes, you can get a mortgage and things like that, but most of those things, they want collateral. So you go to a bank asking for a mortgage, they're like, give us collateral. Well, I need to buy the house first in order for me to have collateral. So the reason why I'm saying all of this is that a lot of people might not understand how they can get into the real estate game quickly, like simply the way you've just stated. But more importantly, it's all about the mindset, right? Because when I came here, my mindset was cash, save my money, and then retire when I'm 65, whatever, and then that's when I'm going to enjoy it. But right now, I need to save, X amount, half of my salary or whatever. What can you talk about with relation to mindset and your ability to generate wealth by just shifting your mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, mindset started when I realized that my supervisor would never allow me or pay me enough to live next door to him. Right? So right there triggered that no matter where they live, they'll never pay you enough to live next door to them. So when you think about that, right, and you think about when you go to your job, you go to 9 to 5, like, and I don't knock 9 to 5s. I think your 9 to 5 is your first investor. That's the first person that invested in you. And when you start changing your mindset to think about that, where, hey, you know what? I'm working this job, but this job is paying me to learn a skill set. And that skill set is now going to allow me to run and control a business. Let me give you an example, right? If we took a gentleman or a young lady that worked at McDonald's, and he or she was in McDonald's flipping fries and flipping burgers. The first thing we do is mentally think that is a minimal job. Right? Oh, you're not gonna ever have a future working in McDonald's, right? Because your mind is locked that this job is the end all be all. You're not thinking that this job is the stepping stone. Why is it the stepping stone? Because one, working in a restaurant, a fast food chain restaurant, is one teaching you customer service skills. The people who come in and out of that restaurant are hungry, angry, and mad. Right. So it's teaching you patience on how to deal with people coming inside the restaurant. That's the first thing. Second thing is teaching you how to calculate. This Whopper or Big Mac may cost $5. Right. I'm putting all these ingredients on here to make this burger to sell it for $5. The average person is just thinking you're just working there flipping burgers. But if you really take the mindset and break down the process of what you're doing, you're really a small portion of a chef. I'm making fries, I'm making burgers. So what I would do on the weekends, if I was doing that, I would figure out where they're getting the grease from, where they're getting the French fries from, where they're getting the burgers from. How much is it costing them to have those burgers come in here, right? If every box of burgers have 50 patties in it, how much money can I make if I sell 50 patties of burgers if this box only costs me $20 to $25? That's the mindset you got to have when you're working at your job, right? On the weekends, I would sell platters. I would make a hamburger, make some fries. If they can sell it for $12, $13, guess what? I can definitely sell a platter for $9.99. Right?
So let me even take it a step further, right? Because you just opened up my eyes as you were talking. Big franchises like McDonald's, Wendy's, the thing that they have to a T is systems and processes.
Right.
Now, imagine if you were to then really understand their systems and their processes, create some sort of like masterclass or whatever, and teach some of these mom and pop restaurants to change their processes. You could have a side hustle where you can go in and say like, hey, I'm going to change the way you source your ingredients. I'm going to change the way you take your orders and improve this metric. And if you guys see whatever, pay me this. So now you're taking a $7 per hour job to now generating, a few hundred or even a couple of thousands of dollars consulting because you now understand the
Yeah.
systems and the processes on the back end.
And you know what? It's remarkable that you saw that, because most people don't see it, right? And when I explain this to people, they're like, I don't know about that. So then I give them this story. I had a cousin who was a janitor. He was cleaning schools. He was cleaning bathrooms. When he came to me and we sat down and we talked, and he's like, I'm really getting tired of this job. I'm like, no, understand the job. You know where they're getting their chemicals from. You know where they're getting their supplies from. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to start your LLC. I taught him how to open up an LLC. He started a cleaning company. So as he's working as a janitor, he's learning the skill sets that he's bringing back to his cleaning company.
Yep.
After 5 years being a janitor, he now has a multi-figured business running a cleaning company that he never cleans ever. He's training other people how to clean by the services and skills that he's learning from the 9-to-5 job that he had.
Exactly.
So every job you have, it teaches you a skill set, right? If you are a secretary, or if you're somebody that's like a dentist assistant, that means you're very good with organization and filing paperwork. You know how many entrepreneurs struggle with being organized? So if you have a consulting company that can help entrepreneurs with bookkeeping, it is a multi-million-dollar business that you learned from just working inside of an office, because everybody needs to be organized.
So it's all about mindset and really opening up your eyes, because if you just go in and the system wants you to be narrow visioned, right? Because then you get to work and you're a good employee. But for you personally and for your family and for your future generations, you need to go in saying like, okay, this is only a season of my life.
Exactly.
And I'm going to just learn as much as I can, take action on it, execute, and then unlock future opportunities going forward. Because once you understand the processes, the systems, and then if you can implement it in your own way and serve other people, that's all you need. Because in life, you only need to be one step ahead of someone in order for you to teach them. You don't need to be 100 steps ahead, right? As long as you're just one step ahead, you have value that you can provide, and you can get paid for that value, and then take that money and then invest it, right? Your soldiers, put it to work to then build the next thing. Yep. One thing you spoke about at the mastermind that I'll never forget, that really connected with me, mainly because I have an 8-week-old baby, my first son, Liam. You said when you have a child, create an LLC for them.
That's right.
On the operating agreement, make them 10% owner, you have 90%. When they turn 18, you flip the script.
That's right.
Walk me through that play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of times, right, when we have children or we have loved ones, right, one of the things that I want to say is that when you believe in holidays and you give out gifts for Christmas, Valentine's Day, which is coming up soon, right, and all these different things, we forget the purpose of planting the seed to grow the money tree, right? So on holidays, I give out LLCs. So my son, when he turned 1, right, I created an LLC. When he turned 8, I presented it to him. So he's probably thinking like, Dad, what is this? You're giving me a binder with pages. I don't even understand it. All I told him is put it away. When you turn 18, you're going to recognize what this can do. So what you do is when you build your LLC, every LLC, like I explained before, has something called an operational agreement. Inside of your operational agreement, you can split up the percentage of the company. Financial institutions don't look at anyone that has 10% or less of a company. You don't have to use a social security number. They don't even ask you for any financial information, because you're holding less than 10% of a shareholder or stockholder of the company. So you build an LLC, you make your child the 10% owner of the LLC while you carry the 90%. Once your child becomes of the age of 18, 19, or 21, you reverse the roles. You take 10%, you give your child the 90%. On the same token, you place your child as an authorized user on one of your credit cards. So after another 2 to 3 years, now your child have a credit score of 700 or above, an LLC for 17 or 18 years, they're ready to do business. When you have this mindset and you set our children, you set your child up that way, they never ever have to go into the same work field place that you went into, because you started them off with an LLC, is 17, 18 years seasoned. And then they also got a credit score over 700. They're ready to start business. That's how you plant money seeds, and that's how you start generational wealth.
Wow. So a lot of people don't even think about this too, right? You're spending money on birthday, buying toys that they will throw away 3 months later. But if you give them a tool and a platform where they can build off of, now that's something, right? And even before they're 18, if that LLC is able to acquire and maybe control assets, even better, right? But that's a whole nother game too that I didn't know about, and I was like, this is perfect timing. Like, I needed to hear this because that's what I'm going to do when he turns 18. The first present I'm going to give him is an LLC that we're going to set up for him, and then we'll go from there. Now, you were talking about own nothing, control everything. So my assumption is the 25 to 30 houses you're buying each year, all of those are in an LLC.
That's right. Yep. I'm a ghost, right? And I I'm a ghost, right? Own nothing, control everything. When I first started off in real estate, I never knew this concept until I got a mentor and a leader. I was putting properties in my own name. But what happens with the banks is that you're going to cap out, right? Your income is never going to exceed the point that you can constantly scale real estate. You're going to cap out. If you make $100,000 a year, you can only get as many properties as the bank feel fit that you're capable of handling the mortgages and your regular everyday expenses of life. So at some point, you're going to cap out. Most people put a number, says about 4 to 5 properties that you can place in your own name before the bank tells you that you can't afford another mortgage. So by understanding this process, right, I understood that if I got an LLC, and with getting a property in the LLC, I use private funding. I use private money. They never ask for anything except for my LLC and my deposit money sitting in my bank account. I don't have to show no W-2s, no tax returns, anything. Because just like getting a no-doc loan for the $50,000, I get no-doc loans for my real estate. So that's how I'm able to scale, because as long as I have the 20% down and 25% down and my credit score is over a 680, then it's all good, right? Now, some people might say, well, your interest rate. My interest rates are 4.5%. Now, it's a little bit higher than a traditional first-time home buyer, which may be like 2 or 3%, right? So I'm paying a little bit more, but I'm not jumping through no hoops. I'm not explaining anything. I'm coming to the table with my 20% down, and I'm acquiring the property for the same 30-year mortgage that somebody else is getting. And the plus side is it's in my LLC. It doesn't show on my personal credit profile. The debt never
goes. They don't do any checks, right? So they don't do any credit checks when they're giving you the mortgage.
Well, they check your credit for your credit score. They don't care about any derogatory marks as long as it's not a mortgage. Okay. If you got a late student loan payment, they don't care. You got a late credit card payment, they don't care. Only thing they care about is as long as you haven't had any defaults on a mortgage. Other than that, you're going to get the funding. You're going to get the funding. And that's how you become.
So they don't even ask for, like, let's say, a profit and loss for the LLC. They just want to see the funding.
What they ask for is a certificate of good standing. Remember, I was saying those 5 documents in the beginning. All you need is a certificate of good standing, and that's it.
And for the certificate of good standing, I'm guessing you get it from the state, whatever state you file in.
Yep. You get that from the state. That basically just says that your LLC is in good standing. You file your taxes, and there isn't any derogatory marks against your LLC.
Awesome. Cool. So what are the hot markets for real estate? Are you just focused on Philadelphia where you're at, or?
Nah. So right now, I'm in Philadelphia. So my backyard is Philadelphia. So I am buying down there. I'm exploring out to Cleveland. I'm in Texas. I'm going to Atlanta. And I'm trying to get into Miami. It's a little expensive out there for me right now, but Texas, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Delaware, Maryland. Those are the 5 or 6 states that I'm hovering over right now for real estate.
That's amazing. So let's talk about how you're helping people, right? Because you've shared a lot of information on how you're doing it. But I know that there's some people who might be watching right now and saying, like, oh my God, I need, Calvin to be my George Anderson, right? Yeah, so talk a little bit about your master classes, your courses. I know you have ebooks and a lot of material. And I really want the viewers here, listen, pay attention to this, right? As Calvin shares, the different ways that he's helping provide this information, it's important that you just don't listen and take in the information, because information at the end of the day is potential power. That's what it is. You then need to take action. Go get the ebook, go get that online course, go get that mentorship, because when you do that, action takers are money makers. Now you're fully taking action, as opposed to just listening to him saying how he's helping people. If you want to change your life situation today, get this information. Remember, it's potential power, but then act on it, because that's where the true power is. I just needed to go on this rant because it's so important, because people are always DMing me saying like, oh, I watched this episode and, did you take action? No. So go take action. So share a little bit more about your information, but I just wanted to make sure like I vent it out, because I need my audience to take action on this information.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I tell people all the time, right? Information will change your situation, right? Your situation is going to change your conversation. Your conversation is going to change your compensation, right? So I want you guys to understand that, right? So here's what I do to help people. So I have a academy. It's called the Octagon Business Strategy Academy, where we teach you 8 different residual cash flows for generational wealth. One of the main cash flows that we teach is real estate, but it's not just basic real estate. We teach you real estate, but then we also teach you digital real estate, which everything that I teach you how to do, I teach you how to sell. So if I taught you how to, create your LLC, I'm going to teach you how to open up an LLC formation company. If I teach you how to get real estate, I'm going to teach you how to start real estate courses, right? Our classes are every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to roughly 9:30 p.m. We teach live on Zoom classes. So you're not watching a video, you're actually on something sort of like what you're seeing right now, right? Is on a Zoom, right? So you get inside a class, I teach you for 4 weeks. In those 4 weeks, I'm going to teach you how to set up your LLC the proper way. I'm going to teach you how to formulate your LLC where you'll be prepped and prepared for your approval going to the banks. That's prepped and prepared for your approval going to the banks. After you get that set up, I'm going to teach you how to talk to the banks, how to get the funding from the banks, what questions to ask, what numbers that you put down when you fill out the application, because most people don't understand even the simple things of the numbers of how to get the high approvals. So I'm going to teach you that. After I teach you how to talk to the bank and we get the funding in, now I'm going to teach you how to analyze real estate. I teach you how to find deals, analyze deals, negotiate deals, flip houses, hold houses, rent houses, and even get turnkeys. After I teach you the whole real estate forum, then I teach you how to manage your property. I teach you something called property consultant, where you're going to learn how to manage your property, manage other people's properties, right? And you can start your own business doing that as well. After you learn that, I sit you down and I teach you how to take everything that you learned and bundle it up into digital real estate. Digital real estate is having a course, having an ebook, having programs online that you can turn around and sell from the information that I taught you. So it's not that you're getting this information to hold it in, you're getting the information that you can share and teach somebody else as well. So that's within our 4-week mentorship program. Our classes are every month. It starts the beginning of the month and it goes all the way to the end of the month. One thing I can tell you by being tapped into this segment right here, the earlier you start the program, let's say you start the program in the middle of a month, we give you the rest of that month for free, and then you start your month the following month. So that's just for everybody that's here special on this program right here. If you want to sign up, I would definitely do that special for you. We also got ebooks, right? If you go through my program, you're going to get my credit ebook. You're going to get my funding ebook, and you're going to get my document ebook. That's all free for going through the program. If you feel like, hey, I want to just start with the ebooks first, you can click the link in my bio. I'm on all social media platforms at Calvin Cannon Jr. I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. You can find me everywhere, right? Calvin Cannon Jr. And you just tap in, click the link in my bio, and you'll see all the courses and programs that we have inside that can help you.
Amazing stuff. So if you're watching this on YouTube, all of those links are going to be in the description. So all you just have to do is just click the links in the description and then you go straight there. But what he said there is amazing. And a lot of people, I think, they usually have this notion of like objection of like, okay, I'm going to invest X amount of money, well, listen, he's going to teach you how to make all that money back if you just tap into the digital real estate he's spoken about. So you go take the classes and get all that knowledge. And after you get all that knowledge, what do you do with it? You go back and you sell it to other people, because there's so many people in the world that need to have information, and they're looking for it. And Kelvin is just one person, right? He can't reach everybody. So the idea is you want to make sure, like, within the people that you can influence and the people that you can touch, go out there and share the information. And by so doing, you'll be able to then get your return on investment. But more importantly, if you're able to then do the plays that he teaches you, set up the LLC, get the no doc loans or whatever loans you're going to get the assets, the houses, and then run the plays, you're going to 10x your investment. The simple question I'll ask you is that if someone was to come to you and say, like, hey, give me $100 and I'll give you 1,000 back, would you take that deal? I would, right? Why? Because you're 10xing your money. So it's the same thing here, right? Put that investment in, and then you're going to see a return if you act on it. If you set up the real estate, if you do all the digital real estate and all that stuff, the stuff that he talks about in the Octagon, program, go out and do it. And you can go follow him. You can see the @Calvin Cannon Jr. On Instagram. And then once you go there, you'll be able to get all that information. And if you're watching on YouTube, like I said, all the descriptions are going to be in the link. Now, Calvin, final word for the audience. What would you like to share with them?
So one thing I would like to say is that, guys, please understand, they're not making any more land. They're not making any more land. So get you a piece of real estate. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and then wait. You're always going to make a return on your investment. And that is key. Get you a piece of real estate, whether if it's digital or is regular real estate. Get you some real estate. Play Monopoly with real money, real people, and real property.
And if you do that, you print money on demand.
Absolutely. You definitely going to print some money on demand. Absolutely. Yeah.